Introducing Kicking Back with the Cooks, presented by Woodhouse. 18 brands, 16 convenient locations, simplified car buying to save you time. Shop, finance, and buy online at woodhouse.com. Here's head coach John Cook, along with your host, Lauren Cook West.
Well, it is officially my favorite time of year, volleyball season, and today I'm with one of my favorite people, Coach Cook. Hello, how are you?
Good. Lauren, I thought February 11th was your favorite time of year, your birthday week, or the birthday month. I thought that was your favorite time, but now this time of the year is?
It is. It's one of my favorite times of year. It's the fall, so you're transitioning to fall, and then you have volleyball and you have football. You can't forget about football, so it's just a good time of year. But I'm surprised you remember my birthday. Some years you never remember the date. You have to ask me to double check.
No, you're a very good reminder. I don't even have to put it on my phone.
Well, really quick, how have two-a-days been going? And don't give us the typical media response like, yeah, we're working hard and things are going well. That's what you tell the media. Give me the real response. How are two-a-days actually going?
Competitive. They're working really hard to be at a high level for 5 hours a day. They are, I love our leadership, holding everybody accountable right now to perform. And as you know, the first week's the honeymoon week. Everybody's happy, fun. The second week, which we're in now, is, the freshmen start hitting the wall and, people start letting go a little bit, but they reel them back in and get them focused. And we've had a couple magical moments for me as a coach through the first. We've only been going now. This is the eighth day. Eighth day today. So it's a very short preseason. It feels like it gets shorter and shorter every year. Last year we started on a Monday and played red-white on a Saturday. This year we started on a Tuesday, played red-white on a Saturday. So it goes by really, really fast. And, of course, the challenge is balancing how hard you push, how much they get to recover, but you got to take advantage of, because we start school Monday.
Have you announced captains yet, speaking of leadership?
Negative ghostwriter.
When will that be announced?
I think we'll probably get to that this weekend.
Okay. Are you doing anything special for it?
Actually, Lauren, I'm glad you asked, because we are.
Oh, but you can't tell us. It's top secret.
What we're doing is we are showing them examples of great leadership from all aspects of life, and because you can go, you can find stuff on the internet, and so we're just planting seeds in their mind. What's important for you as a leadership? We're asking them to think about it, and then we're going to give them feedback on who they think the captain should be, and then we'll also put our input in there, and then name captains.
Well, I'm excited to find out who gets to be captains. I have to start by saying we have already recorded this month's podcast once. This is our second time recording. And long story short, we tried to film a day in the life of Coach Cook out on the ranch. You were roping, you were grooming horses, cleaning out their shoes. It was, I got everything on camera. However, my video filming skills, and the wind was blowing that day, so we just had a lot of negative aspects not working in our favor. So we weren't unfortunately able to use that footage, so that's why we're re-recording again today. However, Coach Cook, I want to tell you, and I need to start charging the Big Ten, because this has happened multiple times where they'll ask me, hey, do you have any videos of Coach Cook doing XYZ or with so-and-so, like with Madden, and they'll use it in their TV production that they put together for a match. And so now what I recorded a couple weeks ago with you out on the ranch, they're actually going to use for a special that they're doing about you and your horses.
Yeah, when we were at Big Ten Media Day, we I can't remember her name. It was a really pretty impressive lady who was puts these documentary type things together on subjects in the Big Ten. All sports, not just volleyball. She was really good, asked great questions, was really digging deep, and I have a feeling they're going to do a pretty cool job on this. So I was very, very impressed. I was really impressed with the whole Big Ten Media Day, but this one part of it, I spent probably at least a half hour, 40 minutes with her, and she's a pro.
Yeah, well, they're using the video that I recorded, so I think they'll have some videos and pictures that I sent over, and at least it's going to be out in the world somewhere, because it is pretty funny watching you rope and brush the horses and clean out their shoes, and it's something you don't see every day. You
need to have Mike Elliott get you one of those trick cameras those guys have, that blocks out the wind, and we can shoot in the outside. And it doesn't matter if the wind's blowing or whatever's happening. And so we just need to get you a better camera. Because our social media people have these little ones they walk around with. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe next time. Well, what I did when we first recorded is I posted a Q&A on Twitter. So I posted it a few weeks ago, and I received a ton of responses, and these are all questions for you, Coach Cook. So we're just going to spend our time today going through these questions. A lot of them have to do with, this upcoming season, and but some of them do have to deal with the horse world and some questions outside of the volleyball world. So are you ready?
Let's roll.
All right. Give 3 of your top tips to someone who is new to the coaching world. So if someone just entered the coaching world, what would your 3 top tips be?
Have a plan, get a mentor, and the third one would be hire great assistants.
What if you can't hire assistants? What if it's just, club coach or high school coach?
Yeah. Get a plan, believe in it, and then build a culture would be the other thing. All the coaches that leave here, like Danny who went to Louisville, Kayla who went to Ole Miss, they've built cultures there and are building cultures there. And I think you at least that gives you a chance if you have a culture, and it will help you with recruiting and build a program. Or if I'm a high school coach, same thing, build a culture that these kids want to be a part of and believe in and buy into. And that's our foundation for how we play and how we run the program.
For championships, so Final Four, national championships, if you make it that far in the season, they want to know if they can get the players' last names on the jerseys.
Negative, because we play for the name on the front of our jerseys, and the other big problem is they all have ponytails, so you can't see them anyway.
That's a good point. Can you walk us through?
Lauren, I hate it because when I go recruiting, these club teams put their names on the back, and you can't ever see their names because they have ponytails. So I'm like, why do they do that? Because it doesn't do any good anyway.
Here's what you do: just stalk Instagram before you go recruit. Get a feel for what they look like, and then when you go in person, you don't need to worry about the name on the back of the jersey or the number or whatever you can't see. You just, that's so and so. I know what they look like.
Yeah, I just called Jalen and he tells me.
Jalen's the recruiting guru. I have a feeling this is going to be a no comment answer, but can you walk us through once and for all the timeline and what was conveyed to Kayla Caffey?
We don't have enough time to go through the whole thing. It's been a year process, and bottom line is she had a fantastic opportunity here and chose to go somewhere else. So that's about it in a nutshell. And anytime those things happen, when you do a lot for a student athlete, and then they can just walk away so quickly. That's one of the hard things about coaching. It's because we try to do everything for these kids, and hopefully there's some type of connection, and they want to be here and they want to bleed Husker. But if you can walk away that quickly, I guess that wasn't that important. And but she wanted to move on somewhere else, and great for her.
I just have 2 quick things to say about that. First of all, when the transfer portal opened up and you could transfer without punishment, I feel like that changed the game. And now NIL is changing the game on top of that. So not only are you having to deal with, unlimited transferring, but you're having to deal with NIL opportunities. And, I feel like as an athlete, they're weighing, okay, can I get more money at this school, or, more money at this school, or more opportunities here? And so it has to be impossible as a coach to, no matter what sport you're coaching, to just have to juggle all of that.
Yeah, and I talked about that at Big Ten Media Days, that I think NLI is kind of poisoning some minds and causing some pretty unreal decisions that student athletes are making. And so it is a more complicated world, and that's why I told you, when you asked me about the advice to a young coach, is build a culture. So hopefully we're building a culture that our players want to be a part of, and that's the most important thing. And it's not a business deal or whatever, but it is making it tougher, and I think this is something that complicates these players' lives, and they're probably not really ready to handle all that.
The last thing I'll say is, normally when players transfer, they're transferring to a school where they're going to have an opportunity. Maybe they didn't start at Nebraska or didn't play all 6 rotations at Nebraska or whatever it may be, and then they want to go somewhere, where they're going to play all 6 rotations or get, be a starter and get more playing time. But I feel like in these two situations, that's not exactly the case. I mean, Texas is stacked in the middle. They just brought in an All-American libero, and so it's just interesting that it really makes you think, okay, are they transferring for playing time, or is it more, like what you're saying with the NIL opportunities and other outside factors? So.
Yeah, that would be a great podcast sometime.
How do you keep your cool on the sidelines, especially during Big Ten matches when things are heated and it's intense? And because this fan was saying, they have to walk the concourse and pace around the concourse because they get so jacked up and nervous and excited. And I'm the same way. I'm sitting in my seat and, clenching my fists and sometimes hitting JB on the arm. And so how do you keep your cool?
That's a really big challenge for me inside. I'm doing all the things that you want to do, and the fan that asked that question. But what I learned in riding horses, if they get edgy and jumpy, you have to be calm, because they'll sense that if you get that way, they're going to feel it and make them more uptight. And then the other time I learned that was when I learned how to fly airplanes and got my pilot's license. They create chaos up there. They do things to try to distract you and cause emergencies, and and you got to stay calm and fly the plane. So what I tell myself is, I got to coach the game and fly the plane, and be calm for the horse. Those are the reminders I give myself, because it's a challenge for me.
We've talked about these two before on the podcast, but Dr. Larry Whitman and then Commander Jack Riggins, and they both are big-time believers in breathing. And I know they've taught this to you, but I think they call it box breathing, or where you breathe in for 4 seconds and then hold it for 4 seconds and then breathe out for 4 seconds, or sometimes it's you breathe in for 5 seconds, hold it for 2 seconds, breathe out for 7 seconds. And I do that when I get nervous watching you guys play. I don't know if you're the same way.
I do it before the match, and there's all kinds of ways you can breathe. We work on breathing every day, and Ron Haruska, who you know has worked with our program. I mean, his whole institute is built on breath. And so he is somebody that has made a big impact on our program on instilling the importance of breath. And if you don't breathe and you're not breathing in both lungs, it's better to breathe out of your nose and out of your mouth. And so anyway, there's a lot to it, and it can calm your nervous system down if you take good deep breaths. And of course, one way you can practice that without even knowing it is do yoga. And get with a yoga teacher that has you breathe during yoga, and that's one of the reasons that we do yoga.
This is a side note, but I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said when you're sleeping at night, you should tape your mouth shut so you don't breathe out of your mouth. And breathing out of your nose while you sleep which a lot of people don't do. A lot of people, open their mouth and sleep with their mouth open and breathe through their mouth. But when you are breathing through just your nose and your mouth is taped shut, which I can't imagine taping your mouth shut while you sleep, but you're going to wake up more rested. The cells in your body have a better turnover rate. And he got into some things that were over my head, but it just sounds like you're going to be a better human if you're taping your mouth shut when you sleep and breathing through your nose.
No question, and we actually do some of that with our players to teach them, the importance of breathing through their nose. Jolene does it with them. I don't do it. I'd love to a couple of them tape their mouths in practice and make them breathe out of their nose. But Jolene works with them on that, and of course Ruska does, and yes, it's really, really important.
What is the number one reason for Nicklin moving positions? Because she's been a 4-year starter at setter. She's been successful in that position. So why move her when she has another opportunity for another year to play another year?
Well, the plan was when we recruited Kennedy was to come here and be the starting setter. And so the super senior year gives Nicklin another chance, and we're letting them compete. Everybody says we're moving her, but Nicklin's still in setting reps and so on, but we think our best team is either with Kennedy or Ani setting and Nicklin playing a DS type role because she's such an exceptional defensive player, and she can take care of a lot of out of system stuff, and I think Nicklin wants to try something new. I don't know if you remember, Lauren, but I tried to get you to become a libero because I thought maybe you could be a national team libero. And so anyway, it's just kind of what has evolved, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, somebody's got to prove that they can set at a level that Nicklin was at last year or above, and for this to work. So, but Nicklin's open to it. I think she's really having a good time. She's like, it's a new thing for her. So she's gone through the grind for 4 years, had that pressure of being a setter. Now I see a freer Nicklin, and she's having fun, and she's flying around, and she doesn't care if she's on the A side, the B side. She just, is just kind of unleashing and enjoying it. So, anyway, that's kind of the reason behind all this.
Just to clarify for Husker fans, if Nicklin is in a DS role, we will see her in the passing rotation.
That would be correct, yes.
So Nicklin, who we've never seen pass before, will be passing.
Nicklin can pass.
And then the other thing I heard listening to your radio show last night is Kenzie Knuckles is training in the front row.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Some days she's our best hitter.
It's always those 5'8", 5'9" attackers. I mean, I think Oregon had one.
Yeah.
Was it Van Sickle? No.
Van Sickle, yep.
Van Sickle,
yeah.
Yep. And she would get you guys all the time. Hawaii also sometimes always has small outsides, and it's just, if your block's undisciplined, those small hitters will go right through it.
Yeah. Well, Van Sickle tore us up at Oregon, and then she transferred to Hawaii. We played him in the tournament a few years ago, and she lit us up there. We hated playing against her. And then Pittsburgh, Memba played for them.
Yep.
She's like 5'9". I mean, she gave us fits. Those players they're harder to defend, and they give up some size and blocking and so on. But yeah, Kenzie loves it, and I see a joy in her that she's having fun with that, and we'll see where it goes. It helps her hit out of the back row as well. But she's in the front row, and John was at practice and saw what she could do, and I think that's why he was asking about it.
Now, JV's whole thing last year was having Lauren Stivrins attack out of the back row. So now his whole thing this year will be having Kenzie Knuckles attack out of the front row, and that's all we're going to hear about.
Yep.
Do you have any difficulties balancing scholarships since you're only allowed 12?
Well,
is it still 12?
Yeah, we have 12 full scholarships. We can't split them up. Some of the other sports can split up their scholarships and to cover more players, but we're a head count sport. So we have 12, and it would be nice to have 13. Women's basketball has 15. I don't know if they've ever used 15, but with the addition of the libero, there's a big need to because you want to be able to scholarship a libero, And, if you think about it, you play with 6, and then you have another 6, so there's your 12, but that's not counting a libero as the 7th player. So we're actually a little bit under scholarshiped when you look at by positions that you have. So it would be nice, but, there's political things and financial things that have prevented that. But I think, it's just like every coach has to do it. You got to manage your team and figure it out. I'm just glad we don't split things up, because then, I feel bad for some of the coaches that have to, you only get this and you only get that. If we're going to give a scholarship, it's all or nothing.
Why does women's basketball have more scholarships than women's volleyball if they require less players?
That's a great question, Lauren. It makes no sense, because nobody ever uses 15 scholarships. And so that's why volleyball is fought like, hey, let's take one from women's basketball and give it to volleyball. And, just you can go through the years on any basketball team. They never have 15 players on scholarship.
That's interesting. I had no idea that.
The men only have 13. So it makes no sense. So I have no idea what their rhyme or reason was. And, one of the reasons they don't want us to expand is because that means Nebraska can scholarship one more player. Texas can scholarship one more player. Well, in women's basketball, they can take, top program technically could take 15 good players. UConn or, Nebraska could, and those are taking away players from maybe UNO or other programs, Wichita, that, those players may want to jump on, a bigger program. And so if you shrink, which football did, they shrunk the scholarships down to 85. It created parity, because in the old days you could scholarship everybody. So they would just stockpile players. Now at 85 for football, that's all you can have, and that's what everybody can have. So it created parity, because you can't stockpile players. Women's basketball can stockpile players. Volleyball, we're not at that point, and that's one of the reasons they won't give us a 13th, because they think that might happen a little bit.
The outside struggle to produce at times last year, and the production metrics overall seemed down. First of all, is that true?
Our outside hitters need to hit for higher efficiency than we did last year. Yes.
Okay, so is that a priority for you in fall camp and then for this season?
Yes.
Where might one run into you?
At the mill.
Outside of, the mill?
Scooters.
Outside of Devaney. Scooters.
Yeah. Mill
okay.
or Scooters.
Hold on, we need to settle a debate. Do you like the mill or Scooters better?
I like both. Well, the mill, we have a mill right next to Devaney, and it's set up to go over there and meet and have coffee. Or I don't drink coffee, but you can go over there and meet. So we do a lot of player meetings over there, staff meetings over there, just to get out of Devaney. I like Scooters' product better, but most of those are drive-through. So the drink that I like to get is, I think Scooters does the best job with that, and they've been big supporters of Nebraska Volleyball through NIL, and you can see a lot of our players tweet and so on. But they've kind of gone away from the meeting. I mean, their one meeting place is all the way out in 70th and Pioneers. Well, that's kind of out of the way. I can walk to the mill over here. So those are the two. Whole Foods. That's about it. Maybe the Mopac Trail on a Sunday morning.
On your bike?
Yeah, I rode this last Sunday. It's the first time I've gone out there in all summer maybe. And anyway, a lot of everybody says hi to me, so they recognize me because it's the same people always riding out there all the time. So
how do they recognize you though? Because you're in a full-on little bike suit and then your helmet and sunglasses.
Yeah. They just know. I don't know. But
how do you think, or I guess I should ask now, how have the two freshman middles been doing, and how will they handle the jump to the Big Ten? So we're talking about Becca Alec and Maggie Mendelson.
There is, compared to any freshman we've had in practice up to this point, have done as well as any freshman we've had here, both of them.
Wow.
They're special people, special players. They're play way older than they are, and super competitors. So it's been fun to watch them and blast to coach them.
And Maggie's young. I read she's still 17.
She should be a senior in high school, but you would never, if you come into our gym, you would never know it.
That's crazy. Wow. Good for them, though. I'm really looking forward to watching them compete this year. How do you feel about Tom Chattel calling you an old cowboy in an article a few weeks back?
Love it. Love it. He writes creative articles and makes it fun instead of just the old coach talk and all that. So, people in Western Nebraska love it.
I normally don't read the newspaper because, no offense, but some of the articles are just boring and I don't know. But that one I actually read all the way through because you're right. It's just exciting. It's different. And he puts a fun spin on it.
Yeah, he mentions Yellowstone and, we've talked about that. He loves Yellowstone. So
Yellowstone's coming back.
I know.
November.
I know.
November 13th, I believe.
Yeah. So Tom's great. He's a San Diego guy. Of course, I grew up in San Diego, so we know a lot of the same stomping grounds out there, places he's hung out. He used to be a San Diego Charger fan, like I did, till they moved to L.A. So we have a lot in common. But I like how he writes creatively and intertwines your personal life kind of in the volleyball part of it, and makes it fun and talks about unique things. So I feel comfortable in sharing things with him in those because I know he does a good job with that.
You always have top recruiting classes, but why is it so hard to find a solid right pin player?
Because in club volleyball, there's so much specializing and substitution going on because they're trying to pay for their club team, and these clubs are trying to make money, so they get a lot of players and they sub them. So they really never develop a true right side player like a Sarah Pavin. We developed Christina Hotelling. Trying to think of who else. A Morgan Brokehouse. I mean, she was developed by her club team as a setter and a hitter. Just true opposites. And there's we're recruiting a couple down the pipe here that are true opposites that have played that position, front row and back row, hit out of the back row, and more like men's volleyball. And Jazz was somebody that we identified as a all-around opposite or right side players, and of course she's a lefty. I mean, ideally if you can get a lefty, but they're hard to find, and so that is a challenge. And I tell these ones that are doing this in recruiting, I said, you guys are like dinosaurs. It's lost because of club volleyball. And so I tell them, thank your club coaches that they're giving you the chance to develop as a true opposite or right side player.
Would you ever like to go branding out by North Platte?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll connect you to the guy who asked that question.
I haven't been out as far. I wasn't out. I was close to North Platte. I was in Riverdale, and the other place we went. It was on the way from Riverdale down toward Interstate 80. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I've already done a couple brandings out there.
What are the chances of having a match inside Memorial Stadium or Pinnacle Bank Arena?
Inside Memorial Stadium is probably slim and none. There's probably a pretty good chance PBA may be coming down the pipe here. Trev wants us to play over there, and Wisconsin's trying to break this regular season attendance record this year. They're playing Florida in their Kohl Center, their basketball arena, and their whole thing is they just want to do one over Nebraska. But right now, actually, Creighton has the single season attendance record. We have all the postseason attendance records, but and of course the sellout streak that nobody will touch. But the single season is Creighton, and now Creighton's promoting, trying to get a big crowd when we play them up there in a couple of weeks at CHI. It's their home match. So anyway, if some of these records get broken, we may have to come and reestablish the Red Kingdom.
Is Creighton's attendance record when they played you?
Yes, 14,000 something.
So you were a part of it. It just technically goes to Creighton because it was their home match.
Yeah, I think it was the year before COVID.
Okay.
So it was 4 years ago.
Who are some players that have surprised you the most with their development after you recruited them and they came in and became bigger impact players than you expected them to be?
Well, Christina Hotelling would be top of the list. Lauren Cook.
What?
I'm hoping Whitney's the next one.
Ani.
Ani Albright. Ani. Yeah. Our Justine, Kenzie Maloney, Caleb Anworth. I mean, they were all. Kenzie was more of a high-profile recruit, but Justine and Caleb, nobody recruited them, and now they both played in the Olympics. So those are a few. I mean, I could go way back. There was several because we took back then. Some of them didn't have the opportunity to develop, like a Christina Hotelling. I mean, she was Cambridge, Nebraska. She didn't have a club to play for. I mean, she had to drive all the way here to play clubs. So I mean, that's and she's a 3-sport athlete, so she's not really playing club, and D2 high school. So, but back in those days, that's when we would take those types of players and develop them. Now they have more opportunities, and so it's harder to find those players.
Besides Maddie Kubik, who are the best or most likely candidates to play all the way around on the outside?
All of our hitters are being trained to play all the way around.
Okay, so that's Allie Batenhorst, that's Maddie Kubik, Hayden Kubik,
and Whitney
Lonstein,
Yep.
Lindsay Krause,
Yep.
and then Kenzie Knuckles.
Yep. So all of our outside hitters. No, that's it.
Am I missing anyone?
We
Okay.
train them to play all the way around, and if they can get to the point where they can pass, and they can hit out of the back row, that's a huge advantage for us.
But to play all the way around, passing is the biggest skill that you look at, correct?
Passing and then defense. Yeah.
Okay.
And then be able to hit out of the back row.
How many more years do you anticipate coaching?
I don't know. Day by day. Take it day by day.
With all these recruits you've been getting, it might be another 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of things to continue to look forward to, and like 2024 now, the Big Ten is going to be a completely different volleyball conference with USC and UCLA coming in. That's very intriguing. I'm having, as long as I have fun, and I really am enjoying the group of players that we have and have had, and then the ones that are in the future here. I don't know. I've just really connected with them, and they're really talented, and it's fun.
I just have to say, the ABCA preseason poll came out, and I don't pay much attention to that, but I was looking at how many Big Ten teams, how many Pac-12 teams, and obviously Big Ten had the most teams in the top 25. But if you fast forward and look at that preseason poll as if it were 2024, I mean, almost half of the teams in the top 25 would be in the Big Ten.
I know.
If you count USC, UCLA, which is mind-blowing to me.
It is mind-blowing. Well, we had 4 of the top 6 in that poll.
I know.
The poll doesn't mean anything, but we had 4 of the top 6. I mean, that's...
And even throughout, I mean, just looking at last season, I think in the top 10, there was, at any given week, I mean, at least 5 teams from the Big Ten in the top 10.
Yep. Yeah, it's challenging. I mean, it's a great challenge, but you got to play good volleyball, and you got to do it every week for 10 weeks. So that's the great challenge. But yeah, if you want to have a great winning percentage, don't coach in the Big Ten.
Yeah, unless you're John Cook.
Well, I've noticed I'm starting to move down the charts now in the overall. So it's harder to win, but it makes you better.
Okay, explain the penalty that you would have had if Caffey would have stayed and played.
We had to take a we were hit with a extra year. We had to pay an extra year of scholarship for her. And again, I could explain it to you, but you would say, what? It makes no sense. So there you go.
Long story short, you would have had to forfeit a scholarship either this year or the following year.
That's a great way to say it. We'd had to forfeit a scholarship. Bye-bye. See ya.
And going back to what you were saying about scholarships and mapping all of that out, I mean, you guys plan this multiple years in advance. So it's not like you plan this the week before the season starts and say, here's who's getting a scholarship. I mean, some of this is planned out 2, 3, 4 years in advance of who's going to be on scholarship, who you're offering, and that's how you recruit. That's part of the recruiting process. So again, this is set in stone years in advance.
Yeah, we have to write it all out. So we have to write it out when they sign their letter of intent. It has to be written out what years they're getting scholarships. Is it all 4 years? Is it 2 out of 4? What 2 years is it? Is it 3 out of 4? Are they not getting a scholarship? I mean, it's all written out, so it's not, and you can't change it. So we have to know when they sign their letter of intent what our plan is for them, scholarship-wise. So
right,
yes, we're planning out 4 years at a time. We have Jalen has a big whiteboard in his office, and we have all this mapped out everywhere, because you gotta manage it.
You have to plan ahead. A few more questions. We'll go through them quick. This is my favorite question. What was your favorite part of coaching me, and what was the most challenging?
Well, the favorite part is that you love to win, and you trained really hard and played really hard and worked really hard at being a leader and that competitive side. And what was the other part of the question? What was the most challenging?
The most challenging.
I don't really know if there was. Probably the biggest challenge was for you and being a coach's daughter with the team, which you handled great. And once you handled that, I mean, I don't think there was a challenge. I mean, the biggest challenge, what I wrote about in my book was, 5-1 or 6-2 in 2010. If I had to do over again, we'd have been in a 5-1 and I would have redshirted you. So the biggest challenge probably was you didn't listen to me. And then, of course, you come back and say, yeah, I wish I would have redshirted. So there's the biggest challenge.
With USC and UCLA coming to the Big Ten, do you think more schools in the conference will add beach volleyball?
I would like, first of all, I say no, because as long as beach volleyball is in the spring, they don't have the facilities or the weather to do it. So we're the warm weather school of the Big Ten, if you think about it. Second of all, I would like us to see us add men's volleyball, and I've already planted that seed with Trev. We've talked about it for years. Can we get a men's volleyball team? But now that USC and UCLA is coming in, you already have Penn State, Ohio State. If we get a couple more schools, all of a sudden we got a Big Ten men's volleyball, and that would be really, really cool. And our players ask all the time, why don't we have a men's volleyball team? We have men's and women's basketball. We have softball, baseball. Why can't we have a men and women's volleyball team? And I think it would be a great deal for us, and I think Nebraska could be really competitive, and I think we would. I don't know if we'd sell out Devaney, but we would draw big crowds.
How do we continue to grow coverage of collegiate volleyball?
Yeah, that's a big question. I don't have all the answers, because, but the Big Ten is growing it. Everybody's made a commitment financially, facility-wise. I mean, look at all the new facilities being built. So the Big Ten's putting all the chips in, and it's paid off. We're the #1 women's sport in the Big Ten. The problem is the rest of the country, what are they doing? Even some of the big conferences, really, what are they doing to promote volleyball? And, and I think there's going to be pressure on USC and UCLA. I mean, what do they average? 300 people a match? Are they going to start packing arenas? Are they going to build, you played at UCLA. I mean, sometimes you play in Poly and sometimes you play in a rec gym. I mean, are you kidding me? In the Big Ten, I hope the Big Ten's going to tell them, you better upgrade. They need to build a nice volleyball facility, and USC plays in the Galen Event Center, which is pretty nice. But again, are they going to promote and draw fans and match what the rest of the Big Ten's doing?
I think we always played in Poly. I don't think we ever played in a rec gym.
Well, they have been the last few years. I mean, we watch them on video, and they're sometimes in the rec gym.
Okay. What have your conversations been with Jordan Larson in regard to her coaching career, and did you try to hire her at Nebraska?
I did not try to hire her. She was playing professionally in China at the time, and her husband was the head coach at Pepperdine Men's, which I talked about in the radio last night. And I have not had a conversation with her since last fall.
Any volleyball athletes that you know of are interested in partnering with Sleefs? And I looked up Sleefs, Sleefs, and you know those sleeves that you wear that you put on for like passing, or I think Whitney Lonstein maybe wears a pair. I don't know what brand. I'm assuming they're Adidas.
Yeah, we're Adidas.
So you can't partner with Sleefs?
No, we Adidas makes them.
Okay, well, there you go, Sleefs. Husker volleyball players can't partner with you.
They can do NIL deals, but we have to wear Adidas. I mean, we like to. Adidas does a great job for us. They got Baby Madden Yeezys, so Adidas and their people do a wonderful job for Nebraska Volleyball and the athletic department. We got some really cool stuff this year. Coolest backpacks I've ever seen. They're awesome, and anyway, Adidas has been great, and they'll make anything that we need.
Madden has a lot of new Adidas goodies as of a few weeks ago, so she's going to be decked out. Are the uniforms ever going to get a modern or more modern update? I
believe next year they're. I'm not sure. That's a Lindsay question. Whether we're getting an alternative uniform this year and next year, I think they're going to make a change. But we're always going to keep the Nebraska script that we have on the front. That's our iconic logo for Nebraska Volleyball. But they are. I think they go in 2-year cycles is how they do it, and so I think next year is a complete turnover in the uniforms. And I know Lindsay's been working with them on designing new ones, and they've got some pretty cool stuff they're looking at.
If you could put together a dream team, who would it consist of? So best setter, libero, outsides, and middles. That's
a loaded question, and it's a no-win answer for me.
All right, last question. Can we mic up players for the red-white scrimmage this upcoming weekend?
No, there's no way they could play with that equipment on there. So I think they're going to do interviews at timeouts, and I haven't heard if I'm going to be mic'd up yet or not. But we did that in the red-white game, which NET televised, and people loved it. And
just ask Mike. Mike's in the studio.
Mike's the guy. So I don't know. Well, it's BTN Plus that's televising this thing. So I don't know all the
Husker Radio Network.
Yeah. So maybe
it'll be on the radio.
Yeah, maybe you could tell Mike what you want.
Mike, let's do exclusive only for the radio. Coach Cook mic'd up.
He's
Mike's
mumbling back there something. I don't know what.
Is Mike laughing?
Yeah. I think he says yes. Mike will do anything for you. So,
I do have to tell you one Mike story. So Mike Elliott, we've talked about him before. He's our incredible producer. He makes everything work when it comes to Huskers Radio Network. Without him, we would all be lost. Mike was telling me, Coach Cook, that football's playing in Ireland next weekend, and Ireland is 6 hours, I believe, ahead of the United States. So they have a little committee over in Ireland, stadium committee, who's working through all the logistics, and they can only meet at 9 a.m. Ireland time. So poor Mike Elliott is having to get up at 3 a.m. for these meetings and then come into work for the day. Yeah. So
I got him on mud water. He's fine.
Yeah, the mud water, dirty water. What did he call it? Dirty water?
Dirty water, yeah.
Dirty water.
His wife calls it. Hey, love that dirty water.
Mud water. Well, hey, good news for you. No confession and lesson this week.
Thank you.
Since you're in the middle of two-a-days, you're exhausted and you have a lot going on, I'm not going to make you do them this month. But I am expecting a lot from you next month when it comes to confession and lesson.
Okay. We'll have something.
Anything else you want to say before Saturday, which is your red-white scrimmage?
No, just the preseason is shorter than ever, which I don't get. I feel like we're just jamming everything in, and the red-white I think is sold out. BTN Plus is going to carry it. We're going to unveil the Red Kingdom. I just saw.
Hold on.
Our poster is all-time top 1 or 2 posters. And I was just, before I came over here, Alex Wood from Husker Vision was playing the walk-in intro song. It is.
Oh boy.
It is awesome. I'm like, I text him. I go, okay, I can't work. I got too many chills. So it's really cool. The music's really powerful. Anyway, it's a whole different feel and theme from last year, and that's what we want to do. We want to, every year it's a new adventure, a new team, and you know, something new for our fans and new for our students. And we need to get, for the Red Kingdom though, I got to talk to the band about getting a big drum that they can start pounding on and get ready to play that song.
Okay, first of all, stop fluffing BTN Plus. Just say it's going to be on Huskers Radio Network, okay?
Okay, sorry, yeah.
Just say it's only going to be on Huskers Radio Network.
Okay.
And
well,
then
everybody listens to you guys anyway. Nobody listens to them anyway. It's everybody. You know, they watch it, but they listen to you and John Baylor. Do you know how many thousands of times I've heard that?
A lot.
Thousands.
Sure. Well, we have
pretty much a week doesn't go by that I don't hear that.
We have loyal listeners.
Yeah.
And then you're having a fan day. That's new, right?
Yeah.
Saturday before the match.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But we're doing that because normally we sign. Well, COVID, we would sign after the red white, and then we'd have another day or two we'd sign. But it started becoming such late nights, you know. And a lot of them are young kids, you know, and they might have driven 2-3 hours to get here. So if we play a 7:00 match, we're signing autographs starting at 9:30, 10, and it goes for 2 hours. It's midnight, and then they got to drive home. So we just didn't like that. It didn't feel right, and so we decided let's just do the fan day like football during the day, and hopefully they're giving out the posters. You know, I don't know why they always wait to the last 3 hours before it starts. You know, oh, the posters just came in, so. But I think they're going to give out posters to sign or something to sign, and just a good chance to connect with our fans and people that can't. A lot of people that come to Red White don't have season tickets, so it's a new fan base we get to connect with, and again, our players need to appreciate the support that they get.
And for anyone who hasn't seen the poster, you are on Bud, one of your horses, and you've never done that before.
No.
Had a horse on a poster.
I don't think a horse has ever been on a volleyball poster. So, Buddy Boy is going into the.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, he's going to be what do you call it? An influencer.
You know how like Colorado football brings out Ralphie before the game starts. You can just ride Bud through Devaney before the match starts.
Yeah.
Let him do a run around the court.
People would lose their minds.
I know. That would be cool. We'll end on this. The best news ever. Mike just told me in my earbuds, our audio is actually the audio for BTN Plus. So you can, you can hype up BTN Plus. So watch BTN Plus because you can watch and listen. It's the best of both worlds. To JB and I on the air.
Thank goodness they do that, because some of these BTN Pluses we watch from other schools, I mean, they got these student announcers. Dude, did you see that play? So anyway, awesome job for that. That's good news.
There we go. We'll end it on that. Thank you for your time today, Coach Cook. Best of luck starting your season next week. And thank you all for listening, watching, and we'll see you all in Devaney.
Okay. So, Lauren, are we doing a post game after the red white?
Mike, are we doing a post game after the red white?
Okay.
We'll find out.
I'm looking forward to getting grilled by you.
Yes. Mike says yes, so we will do post game. So we'll talk to you at post game on Saturday.
I do my 4x4 breathing before I come up there to get grilled by you.
Oh, just wait till this season. I already have questions lined up.
They're already going through my head.
Here's the thing, though. Listeners love it because
I know.
They know no one else will ask you those questions.
Yeah.
So they're thankful that someone is asking you those questions.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you next month. Go Big Red.